Leaves clues. And so we wanted to invite the most successful people in all kinds of different industries to share with us how they did it. But we didn't invite just anybody. We invited people that embodied our culture, that embodied having a business, branching out, starting another business, giving back through philanthropy, and all those particular pieces. These people are busy. And it's really awesome that they were able to come in through this series and really give us our time. And we're really excited about that. So we want to show our love for you by bringing you top-notch quality training. We want to show our love for our company and for our speakers and for each other. Because sometimes you just need to have a little fun in business, right? Sometimes it just beats you down and you're having a rough day and you're trying to manage everything. So that's our goal. Okay, so this is what I want to share with you, just a little bit of something that was on my heart in terms of these particular pieces. I kind of hit a place in my own business where I really felt like, man, what is the next step? Where's the next place to go? How do I get to level 7, right? How do I get there? We don't spend a lot of time talking about those particular pieces because the grind sometimes of just trying to get through levels 1, 2, and 3 are rough, right? They say the most difficult part of your business is the first 6 million that you sell. And I just was like, how do I get there? How do I get there? And I had the opportunity to go to Austin and do some trainings at Keller Williams International. And I was just wowed by these amazing entrepreneurs that were there. And they really talked and emphasized about building your own Disney, about thinking through all the little details, about making sure that everything you're doing in your business in level 1, 2, and 3 is scalable when you get to 5, 6, and 7, you have a big organization. And I was chatting with Terry about it, and I'm like, you know, where are our mentors? How do we do that? She said, Christy, you just got to surround yourself with higher-minded people. She kind of gave me the challenge, surround yourself by higher-minded people. She said, you have great friends in this community. She said, go surround yourself with them. Go hang out with Katrina and Matt and ask them how they did it with Katie Magazine. Go hang out with all these particular pieces. And I thought, well, I could do that for myself, and that would be really fun and cool, but it doesn't solve the issue that I know if I'm feeling this way in my business, that everybody's got to be feeling that way, right? And I want you to feel valued and loved and given the tools that you need to be able to take all of our businesses to the next level. Because when you win, my business wins, right? And when my business wins, you win. And that's what I want for everybody. So I said, I'm not going to surround myself with higher-minded people. We're going to create a training series and surround everybody with higher-minded people. So literally, I sat down with Naira at the front desk, and Raquel will tell you because she got to witness this planning session. And I said, what are the key skills that we need? We kind of listed them all out. And then I created my dream list. I said, if I could have anybody who would, we started listing names. And Matt, of course, your name came up first in terms of those particular pieces. And Raquel said, I know him.
He's my agent.
He's my agent, and he's my mentor. And she just felt also, too, that you would just have so many great things to share with us. So we are really grateful for your time. I've followed you. I see your wrap trucks everywhere in terms of those particular pieces, and we have a lot of common friends. So I appreciate you making my dream come true today by coming and sharing your wisdom with that. And with that, I'd like to introduce Matt Schomburg with State Farm Insurance, but a whole lot more. That's where he started. And he still is today, but he does a whole lot more than that. And so let's just give him a warm welcome.
All right, well, I don't know how much wisdom I have, but we'll see what we can share. So I'm on to about 4 o'clock, right?
Go.
Just cut me off. Give me, you know.
No, you're good. Go.
When I'm done, you let me know. So. Okay, so I'm going to start us off with a little magic trick. Y'all like magic?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to start with magic, and then I'm going to, at the end of my presentation, I will give you the secret formula. Everybody wants the secret formula, right?
Right.
That's nothing to do with working hard. Okay, it's easy stuff, so get excited about that. All right. If you know this magic trick, don't tell your friend next to you, because then they won't be amazed. Okay? All right, anybody in here from Louisiana? Okay. So Raquel, Jackie, they might have a hard time keeping up because there's a little bit of math on this one. Okay. All right, we'll try and make it easy. So y'all do me a favor. Pick a number between 1 and 10. Okay, don't say a number. All right. Give me some head nods as we go through this. I want you to add 2 to that number. I'm going to try and keep the math small for us, huh? Okay?
That's good, because I only do 3 and 6%.
Okay, good. Right. I want you to add 3 to that number. You going good?
Uh-huh.
Okay, keeping up? You want your calculator out? All right, subtract 1 from that number. All right, this is where it gets a little harder. Go ahead and subtract your original number. I saw you in the back. You're like, oh my gosh.
I had to think about that one. Okay.
Okay. Good? All right. So I want everybody to take that number, and I want you to think of the letter of the alphabet that it corresponds to. So if your number's 1A, 2 is B, 3 is C, some of you mathematicians will have 26, which is going to be Z. Okay? All right, you doing good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I've gone around the country with State Farm, and I've been lucky enough to be a keynote speaker at several events. I've probably spoken to groups of up to 300 people, and I'll present this same magic trick to them. And what's amazing is 95% of the time, I want to give you an answer here in a sec, but 95% of the time the audience will have the same answer. Okay? It just goes to show you that we're out there doing the same thing over and over, and we're following Tweedledee and Tweedledum instead of creating our own way to be special. Okay? And so that's why I like to do this trick when I start off, because I want people thinking different. How can I be different than all the other realtors in town? How can I be a different insurance agent than all the other insurance agents? There's 20 plus State Farm agents in Katy alone. How can I stand out in the crowd, right? All right, so we have the letter, right? I want you to think of a country. So here's where we go geography. Went for math, now geography. Goodness gracious, y'all, back in school here, okay? I want you to think of a country that starts with that letter. Okay, all right? Okay, here we go. I want you to take the second, James is like, I got this. I want you to take the second letter of that country, okay, and think of a common zoo animal. Okay.
I'm gonna start writing these down.
And now I want you to think of the color of that zoo animal. All right. So if you did your math right and you know your geography, okay, everyone will have the same answer. It's pretty amazing. So I'll go back and forth if I want to start. If you had a 4-year-old elephant or you had a gray elephant from Denmark, how we doing? Okay. All right. Now some of us will have the ostrich from the Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic's not a country. Good. It's pretty cool. All right. Who got it?
Scary.
Okay. Okay. I told you my Louisiana people wouldn't be able to keep it. All right. I heard this quote the other day, and I just thought it was funny, but especially with our millennial generation today, people want to be millionaires without putting the work in, right? And it said that people want $1 million salary with a minimum wage work ethic. Doesn't that just kind of sum up where we are today with, I have a lot of younger folks that work for me and some that interview for me. And I had one kid, I used to do, I used to bring high school kids from Maid Creek. They had an internship program or whatnot. And this one guy brought him on when he was 17. I think he worked for me for 4 or 5 years. Great kid, real smart on the computer side, not real good with people, so we wouldn't let him answer the phone or talk to people. But we locked him in the bathroom, and he was fantastic on the computer. He came to me when he was 25. He was working at Subway making minimum wage, and he goes, "Yeah, but I'm getting ready to hit my $1 million deal." And I'm like, "Come on, B, I don't know how it's going to happen." So, all right. So what I want to do here is I want to share with you guys a little bit about my early days in the business, what that looked like. Kind of tell you the experience we try and create with our customers. And then go into how that experience or how our brand has really opened me up to get more and more involved in the community. And then, like I said at the end, I'm going to give you the secret formula. Cool? All right. So picture this. I was always somewhat of a smart kid, National Honor Society in high school, graduated magna cum laude. Went to Texas A&M, was a really stupid student at Texas A&M because I didn't go to class. I had a lot of fun, so I graduated with less than a 3.0 average. And back then, if you wanted to work for the Big Five, which a lot of my friends were doing, you had to have a 3.0 average in order to interview. So I ended up going into some paper sales. I got hired by a company called Wallace, and they were like door-to-door paper salesmen. So I said, all right, that sounds like fun. I kind of grew up in a sales family. So I was getting ready to start work. And I was having a conversation with my dad. and my dad pulled me aside and goes, son, look, I know you're getting ready to start work here next week, but I want you to call John your new boss and quit. I said, wait, come on, Dad, what do you mean? He goes, look, now I didn't tell you this, my mom's a State Farm agent, right? So I grew up in a State Farm family. She's still a State Farm agent. Not a good State Farm agent. I keep trying to get her to retire so I can pick up her customers. But she's not working with me.
She's in that closet?
Yeah, exactly. So my dad said, son, I want you to call and quit. And so, I took that leap of faith. I quit before I ever started. And I held on for an opportunity to work for State Farm. So I continued to interview. Finally, I was able to impress somebody. And, I look like maybe I look older now. I got wrinkles and stuff. I am going through my midlife crisis, if that'll tell you how old I am. So I had the ponytail, I grew the beard. So please forgive the appearance. Normally I'm a Boy Scout looking kind of guy. So sorry, sidetracked there. So finally I got an opportunity with State Farm. I went into the claims world. So I was an auto claims adjuster for a couple of years. Back then with State Farm, you had to work for the company for 3 years before you could open up an agency. So obviously my career track was to become a State Farm agent. About 2 years in, I've always been the youngest kid in class. I had one of those summertime birthdays. Graduated high school at 17, graduated college. I just turned 21. Luckily in college I had a fake ID, so it didn't matter that I was one of the younger kids there, right? So I got hired at State Farm. I was 21 years old. I put 2 years in as a claims adjuster. Loved that job. To me, it was super easy. I was connecting with people, which I loved doing. Building relationships just came natural to me. I was very proactive. The lady behind me, who I absolutely love, she's still my best friend, is a principal of a school. She's been teacher of the year, principal of the year. I mean, she's absolutely phenomenal. But she was the worst claims adjuster because she let the job dictate her. So it was all defense, right? Voicemail, 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 return. But she would never be proactive and get ahead, right? And so for me, it just kind of led to this job. So 2 years in, I was 23, I was hired to be a State Farm agent. Right? One of the youngest State Farm agents in the company to ever be hired. So I like to kind of share my early days with folks because it's easy, it's easy to look around and say, oh, this guy's got wrapped cars, he's super successful, right? But you forget that there was a lot of work that went into what you see today, right? And again, that I want $1 million salary, but I don't want to put any work in, right? So I want everybody to kind of hear the backstory. There's a lot of work to become successful, right? Kind of going through your levels, whatever they are, but you have water. Have some water. That'd be fantastic. So my family. So my grandfather was a State Farm agent. So you can imagine, I really didn't have a choice of what I was going to do for a living. My grandfather had 5 children. Four of them went into insurance. 3 of them were State Farm agents. My mom's youngest sister does in vitro fertilization, right? So not insurance, but she makes test tube babies. And so when my brother and I were young, we actually had a T-shirt celebrating the 100th child born out of in vitro. Can you imagine that? The 100th child in '95. You think of how many successful pregnancies we've had since then. My cousin has triplets as a result of in vitro fertilization done by my aunt, and they consider that a failure, but they're precious little kids. Thank you. Okay, so a lot of State Farm. So I started my agency January 1st, 2002. And if you think back, for me, I'll kind of share what was going on. 2001, right? Well, I remember September 11th, 2001. That was obviously a huge day for our country. For State Farm, it was a huge day. In 2001, 2002, there was a mold crisis in the state of Texas. For those of y'all who have been here for a little while, you remember that. Mold claims were rampant. Remediation companies were popping up all over the place. You might have a leak in your bedroom, a leak in your kitchen. We were paying, if you had your home insured for $100,000, we were paying $200,000 for it. It just didn't make sense. We were paying policy limits on both of them. Insurance companies were losing money. So in September of 2001, this was right before I started, State Farm decided that we were not going to sell home insurance anymore, right? So as a State Farm agent, we sell car insurance, home insurance, a little bit of life insurance, right? So all of a sudden, I just lost that 3-legged stool. I didn't have home insurance to sell. December 2001, month before I started, we had been running a campaign called the Big Dog Off the Porch, right? State Farm's the largest insurance company in the U.S. We're bigger if you took Allstate and Progressive, which are the next couple big boys. We're bigger than them combined. We didn't like them kind of nibbling in our heels, so we just dropped our rates and we were smoking everybody, right? Well, when you take on new business, it's called buying business in our world. You take on a lot of new business, those new customers have claims, you start losing money. So we were at the tail end of the Big Dog, and State Farm said, well, we got to shoot that dog, okay? So I came on, and by shooting the dog, they were co-oping all the direct mail. So direct mail was free for agents. They could send out whatever they wanted to. The company was paying for it. It was phenomenal.
Nice.
So December, they got rid of that, and they said, hey, good luck, y'all figure out how you want to advertise, right? So I didn't have my product. State Farm wasn't paying for anything, and oh, by the way, we weren't going to be competitive anymore because they shot the dog, okay? So they kind of called it the perfect storm of just one of the worst possible times to start in our industry. I didn't know any better, right? Again, I'm 23, 24 years old, newly married, no kids. I've got an opportunity to do something that I've seen my grandfather do, I've seen my mama do, my aunt, my uncle. To me, it's just a blessing. So I go at it. My first month as a State Farm agent, I tweak some things. I have a great month. My second month as a State Farm agent, I'm number 2 in my group of agents. There's some 40 agents in my group. Month 3, I think I might have stayed number 2, but had a tremendous month. At this point, I thought I was the greatest State Farm agent in the company. Okay. To me, it was so easy. We were selling a ton of life insurance, a ton of car insurance, I didn't have home insurance, so for me, it was great. I didn't have to worry about learning a new product, right? So we were just going through, doing what we did. Month 4, State Farm changed the rules on us, right? So we'd always written business out of what we call our mutual company. So they introduced a new company, and it was ugly, right? When we would quote people, we would have to get under the desk and fear they'd shoot us out how expensive it was. Even with people like Raquel that had a terrible driving record, we could,
Oh no, that
before
was my
this,
husband, not me.
yeah, like Jason.
I mean, not to get in the car with you, girl.
No, it's
Yeah, don't-
really not me. It's really Jason.
Yeah. Jason used to work these crazy nighttime jobs, so he would always fall asleep and crash.
No, seriously.
But even before this date, we could write people like Jason and be super competitive. So they changed the rules on us. And so I started getting a little bit negative. I'm like, oh no, I was the greatest State Farm agent in the company, and now I can't do anything, right? Well, give the guy, my aunt, my uncle, my mom came to visit my little office there in Katy. I was on North Fry Road where I got my start. And we were walking to Blimpie that was next door to the office, and I was complaining a little bit. And my uncle goes, Matt, why are you complaining? It's the greatest opportunity you ever had, right? And my aunt says, oh, Sherry, be positive. This is such an incredible gift, right? And they reminded me, they go, it's all about attitude. It's all about your attitude. So what I did is I just changed my attitude. And I said, well, I don't know any different, right? Let me just get back at it, okay? And so I just went back to work, and we continued to push through that grind. Someone told me it'd be a good idea as a new agent to make cold calls, so you'll love this story. So my boss said, Schomburg, I need you to make $200 a day. I said, okay, no problem. Sorry. So I started dialing. I was having a lot of fun. And, again, grace of God, my office was right here. Next door to my office was a liquor store. I mentioned I was newly married. I didn't have any kids, so every night about 4 o'clock, we'd walk next to the liquor store. We'd get a 12-pack. It was me and a friend, and we would drunk dial and see how many people we could get to hang up on us. And while doing that,
No, he would seriously be in his office making calls at like 7 o'clock at night when we used to drive by. Your lights was
oh yeah. So this is kind of a transition. We were building a house, I guess in 2003. We're coming out of an apartment. Our lease was up, so we moved in with my folks in Sugar Land. I was driving from Sugar Land to Katy every day to go to work. My brother had just graduated from Southwest, which I think they call Texas State now. And so we were all just one big happy family. My wife, who just can't stand my poor bald-headed brother, myself. On the weekends, he'd come home at 2 o'clock. He'd jump into bed with us. We'd been asleep for hours. So it's a lot of fun, right? Families living together. Raquel said I was there at 7 o'clock. I wasn't leaving until midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 a.m. And so I would get home. He would still be up partying, and I'd get home. And he told me one day, he goes, Matt, because obviously we grew up in the State Farm family. Hey Chad, when are you gonna become a State Farm? Well, he goes, man, I would never be a State Farm agent. He goes, you gave up your childhood. Right? So one night I had a good friend of mine. You know Anthony Anderson?
His name sounds familiar.
Good friend of mine. He worked for Kraft. His wife was a nurse. Came in the office. Customers, became my best friend. He was in his wedding. He's actually a State Farm agent. Has 2 State Farm agencies now in Omaha, Nebraska, as a result of our friendship. But well before this, I'm sitting there. And it's probably 10 o'clock at night, and I don't know what Anthony's doing, where he's going, if it's Dairy Queen or something before it closed down on Fry Road there. And so I'm sitting there in my old office. We had those tinted windows, right? And so during the daytime, it was great. It kept you cool. You could see out. Well, it had and from the outside, you couldn't necessarily see in. Well, it had the opposite effect at nighttime, right? So when the lights were on, I couldn't see out, but people could see in. And my office was at the very front, right next to the strip center glass.
Right next door to Hobby Lobby.
Right next to the Hobby Lobby. And so I'm sitting there, and it's a State Farm agent, we have to do deposits, and so I've got cash and checks, and I was the worst State Farm agent, because we would take in all these cash and checks, but I would never take them to the bank, because I hated doing that part of my job. And so like once a week, once a quarter, whatever it was, I'd spread it all out on my desk, and I'd go, okay, let me find this check, let me find that check. So I'm sitting there, and just imagine, I've got thousands of dollars on my desk in cash, and I've got all these checks lined up, right? And all of a sudden, I see this big butt on my window, and I'm like, oh heck, I'm getting ready to get mugged. And then the door opens up real slow. I mean, it's probably 10 plus at night. I learned then that I probably should lock my door after it got dark. So a lot of fun in my early years. Really enjoyed cold calling. If you've been around over a year, you don't have to cold call anymore. As I was cold calling, I was also sending out quite a bit of direct mail. Direct mail helped me build my business. As realtors, you guys have this great little tool where you can kind of market where you want to market on the direct mail. For me, if you have a pulse and a driver's license, you're a candidate. So we would just direct mail everybody, right? I mean, I was sending 150,000 flyers a month, spending a ton of money. Just the way State Farm did it is they would reimburse me for some of my expenses from time to time. And I remember it was one Thanksgiving, and I kept telling my wife, this is my first year as an agent, I'm like, I don't know, we'll be fine, babe, I'm gonna get a paycheck, and everything's okay. And I think, I'm looking at my paycheck, and I think they popped me like $8,000 or $10,000 or something for direct mail. My paycheck was $100. I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna get home because we're all gas money from our parents. So outside of cold calling, I'll tell you that because I'm a huge marketer. I believe in marketing, and there's really 2 kinds, right? You can advertise and you can brand. And so I would just direct mail everybody. And as vendors would come to me and say, hey, Matt, you want to try this? I'm like, yeah, sure. I tried. I was in news. I've done so many stupid things when it comes to, I've spent so much money and wasted so much money advertising. Now the new world is, for us in the insurance world, is Google. I love Google. We were trying to build our brand that we have, our street cred in Katy. We're trying to build that on Google, so we look just as great online as we do in real life. And so I've got a vendor that I work with who's phenomenal. If you want any work on that. So as a 16-year-old kid, I'll kind of tell you this to know where the vehicle wraps come from. So as a 16-year-old kid, I get my driver's license. I mentioned my mom's a State Farm agent. Back then, you had to take pictures of the homes that you would insure. Okay, and so my mom says, okay, Matt, jump in a car, go. And so my mom had this nice Lincoln Town car. And I don't know if you've ever had a Lincoln. You still have your Lincoln?
Jason. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Jason right too.
Okay.
The one that like your mom.
Okay. So Lincoln has an issue with their airbag suspension, right?
They do.
And so you're driving, and when you come to a stop, the car's supposed to stay level. That's what the airbag suspension does. Well, eventually the airbags go bad, and so here I am driving this, back then $30,000 Lincoln Town car, and I'm driving through these, sketchy neighborhoods, and I stop the car at a red light, and that Lincoln goes. So I'm in this big hoopty.
You gotta watch the Lincoln Talk. That's our daddy. It's West Side Lincoln.
No, that new Lincoln Navigator. I'm gonna go buy that car from your dad.
I drive a Lincoln though.
Okay.
I was trying to give it a side eye, man. that she was right.
No, but I told my wife the other day, I said that the new Lincoln Navigator is the coolest car ever been in.
No, he-
And they're flying off the shelf.
Yeah,
He's always
Yeah.
gonna make me up.
yeah.
So the
So
car goes,
the car goes, so I've got the magnets, you know, these cheesy magnets, and there were days I'm probably driving too fast, the magnet blows off, I get back. My mom's like, Matthew, where's the magnet? I go, oh, hell, Mom, so we buy more magnets. So, you know, when I started, I'm like, okay, well, my mom had magnets, so, back then I drove a big old Suburban jacked up 6-inch lift kit, and so I had magnets on my doors, right? Well, my idiot friends, we'd go out to the bars, I'd show back up to my car with my designated driver, and my magnets were on the hood, they were on the roof, right? Real bad idea when you're 24 years old and your friends are like, Schomburg, you're an idiot, what are you doing with these magnets? So the magnets evolved into stickers, so I had just kind of light etched stickers. And then the vehicle wraps came about. And so we wrapped our first vehicle, and my first vehicle was very professional. It was me in a suit and tie, no ponytail, looking very Boy Scoutish. And I didn't get a whole lot of traction with that. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna change this. And so I went and I took some stupid pictures, and one of them was just, I was actually trying to flex, and I guess she caught me like this, right? And just a real cheesy grin. And so I said, man, how can we make this work? So we put that cheesy picture up there, and the tagline said, Matt Schomburg crushes competition. And people started calling, right? Because now I wasn't just some average cat in a suit and tie, but they were like, what? Oh, aha, you know, and now they remember, oh, my bill just went up. Who was that idiot with the stupid, oh yeah, let me call that guy. And I said, this is fun. So I bought, kind of like the last true family man, I had 4 boys. So I've had these big giant conversion vans, right? A lot of landscape, there's one out there now. It's a 9-passenger, I had a 7-passenger, right? And on the side of it, it was me flexing, right? Back when I used to work out. And so listen to this story. So I had a customer for a couple of years, moved from Chicago to Houston. And he was, you know, we were close, like we went to lunch. I wouldn't necessarily consider him a friend, but we had a good working relationship. And I get a transfer request to another State Farm agent, right? So he's going to a friend of mine, Chris's office, and I said, man. And so I called for a week. I finally got him on the phone, and I'm like, Dave, man, what's going on? He goes, you know, Matt, my wife and I were talking, and we just don't agree with your advertising. It's just too damn loud. And I said, finally, it's working. Right? It's working. So we've really had a lot of fun with the vehicle wraps. I think I have 11 cars wrapped now. I have calmed down the muscle pictures, and now I put my clothes on there, so we're trying to soften the silly image that we had from early on. Jaime works for the other Kelly Williams, right?
we love our Jaime.
Uh-huh.
We love Jaime.
Yeah. So I begged Jaime. He came to me before he wrapped his truck, and I said, Jaime, you got this beautiful bald head. I said, be Mr. Clean on that damn truck. Buy your house for me, I'll clean it. You know, I mean, just something that stands out, something that's out there. If you look at my van now, Pinterest has some great things, but one of my favorite wraps, we were kind of looking through Pinterest, and it was a plumber. Okay, and so imagine a plumber, he's on his work truck, and he's got his wrap. Well, there's the window, so there's no head, right? The driver becomes the head. And he's sitting on the toilet taking a crap. I said, oh, that's genius. So
No, it's totally on his truck outside. You
I
guys
saw it in real life on 610.
Did you really? I love it.
I took a picture.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right, look, now it's stuck in her phone and her cloud and everywhere. And so if you look at my car, it's me in a suit, no head. And so what the intent is, as you're driving by, you go, right? And you got to look several times, right? It's not just a normal route, there's a guy in a suit and tie. But you got to look several times. On the other side, I'm actually surfing. So again, we're trying to grab people's attention. We're trying to be top of mind. All right. So one thing, am I doing?
You're on. Keep
I'm
going.
okay. You got to be careful. I'll be up here all day. So, okay.
The only downside to having 11 rental cars is that he cannot go anywhere. At Katie Mills, we know when you're there.
That's right. That's right.
At the park, we know when you're there.
That's right. Well, the funny thing is, people will show up thinking it's my house, and they'll go knock on the door. Hey, is Matt here? My poor employees. For years. So that's a good news, bad news deal for me. Once you've been with me for a certain amount of time, you get a wrapped car, right? Good news, you get a free company car and pay for everything but gas. Bad news is it's got my picture on it. So, but they really love that, and it's a testament to how my attitude has changed, how my leadership model has changed over the years. Because as a new agent, I mean, I was on fire. If you weren't keeping up with me, if you weren't working late, I would just cut you, right? I didn't, look, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And I've softened as an older man, and I've realized that our business is so much more, just like your business, so much more about relationships, cultivating that relationship, and the consistency, right? Am I touching the person enough? What's that interaction? And so if you call a State Farm agent's office, and every 6 months you're talking to Sally, then you're talking to Raquel, then you're talking to Jackie, and you're never talking to the same person. When you lose that consistency, it really hurts. And so for me, I do as much as I can to keep the people that I like in my office. I've never had anybody quit on me. I've let some folks go, but I've never had anybody come to me and quit, which is a lot of fun. So, all right. So let me tell you something that we do in our office, and I think you could duplicate this in your world. I thought about trademarking this years ago, and I kind of wish I would have, but it's the Schomburg experience, right? And I've gone around the country and I've talked about this. So listen to this. The Schomburg experience came about in 2004. I want to say in about 2008, 2009, State Farm started the Remarkable Experience. Where do you think they got that from? And they didn't give me $1 because I forgot to trademark the thing, right? So I mentioned earlier, let me tell you a story about a best man at my wedding, a guy by the name of Mitch. So I mentioned my mom was a State Farm agent. Mitch had his insurance with my mom. So when I started in January, I was calling all my friends trying to steal them from my mom, right? Hey, I'm a new State Farm agent. You need to come over here. And so I called Mitch. I'm like, hey, Mitch, it's Matt. Look, man, I opened my doors. I need to get your business pulled over here. And he goes, well, Matt, tell me, your mom's been good to me. Why would I switch? And I go, come on, dude, I'm your boy. He goes, no, that's not good enough. Call me back when you have something. He hung up on me, right? And so it got me thinking, right? What sets me apart? What am I going to do? What's my elevator speech, right? The cheesy thing that we like to say. What's my elevator speech? Okay? And so I thought a little bit about it. And I called Mitch back and I said, all right, Mitch, here we go. Listen, I'm a licensed claims adjuster. You call my mom and ask her a question about claims. She's going to be like, oh, let me transfer you to the claims office. I said, look, I can make things happen. State Farm's crazy enough to give me a checkbook, right? I can write checks out of the office. I said, you got my personal cell phone. You can call me 24/7. He goes, all right. You got me, right? But what's our elevator speech? What's going to make us that much different? And so, through the evolution of that, we've really tried to define and refine our Schomburg experience. And all that is we're trying to touch customers with the 5 senses. Okay. If you were to walk into my office, this is funny because this actually just happened to us today.
I hope it wasn't.
No, it wasn't you, crazy mama. So if you were to walk into our office, this one is so big to me. You will not hear our phones ring. Okay? So I've got 15 employees. If the phone rings, it's only going to ring at one desk. Okay? This morning we had a power outage. Our phone system was crazy. It was ringing on everyone's desk. Everyone was freaking out. Our skin was crawling. We didn't know what to do. Who's going to answer it? So it's stressful, and that creates an environment of stress. And for a customer, I can't tell you how many times back in the old days, I'm sitting there, I'm running an appointment, I'm talking life insurance, we're talking big money, I'm trying to close deals, and the customer's like, hey, you need to get that phone call? I'm like, no, man, I got all these people that work here. That's not for me, right? And so it's that distraction that we try to take away. We bake fresh cookies every day, multiple times a day, so you always have that smell of just deliciousness. In the office, we tried to do popcorn, but Raquel's kids came in, stuff was everywhere. We were constantly vacuuming up popcorn kernels, so we pulled the plug on that. And we spend a lot of time on different colors. We've worked with different decorators over the years. What does our carpet look like? We have a full-time cleaning service to keep the office clean. We want people to come in and be impressed. Most State Farm agents are probably on 1,100 to 1,400 square feet. I bought a strip center several years ago. We have 6,000 square feet. When you walk in, you're like, is this the right place? Is this State Farm, right? And so we really want to blow people away. I have, come here, boss. Come stand up with me, yeah. So watch this real quick. All right, shake my hand. All right, perfect. Okay, what's your name? Hola. All right, how you doing, man? All right, so real quick, we know that we can touch people from here to here and it doesn't make them feel uncomfortable, right? So I don't like hugging people. I don't hug my wife, right? So, right, I'm not a touchy person. But I beg my team, I say, look, I want you rubbing all over our customers. Build that relationship, hugs, smooches, whatever it takes. This is a true story. Raquel, forgive me for this. I'm in Chicago on a business trip, and my wife calls me. She's freaking out. She's like, Matt, Miss Janice just kissed me on the lips. I was dying. I said, Hannah, that's that's fantastic. Did you give her tongue? No.
Man, you know I'm going to get her when I get home.
So watch this. When you shake somebody's hand, whoever goes first, okay? So you did it perfect, right? You came straight at me, okay? So if you want to be, hey, I'm your pal, I'm your buddy, nonverbal communication is so key in what we do, especially in your business, because you're shaking hands, kissing babies, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to shake hands. You coming underneath, right? Now, if you ever don't like somebody, you come at them like that, right? I'm your daddy. That's okay. Thank you. I'll let you get comfortable. But it's little tricks like that. It's little nonverbal communication skills that I've taught my team. They know how to shake They know how to shake hands. Now, I will tell you that's for men. For women, you definitely don't want to come at them like that. Okay? For women, you want to be straight and you want to be firm. You don't want to be soft. Okay, I've got a couple twins that work for me, and they have just the firmest handshakes, and they get compliments all the time on how firm their handshakes are, right? And again, so we've coached that. We've coached the conversations. All right, have we hit all the senses here? Mm-hmm. Touch, sight, smell, hear. What am I missing?
Purple.
Taste.
Yes, taste.
Taste.
Does that not go with the cookies?
It does. Goes with the cookies.
But
They
not
smell
only
good,
that,
they taste good.
you do like several events throughout the year.
Let's go.
Appreciation.
Let's go.
He had a
Is it your producer? That's Raquel.
Yeah, right.
See,
That is so me. If he knows it, it's okay.
That's my next section.
Okay.
Yeah, you be like, wait, can I just make it calm down?
Yeah.
Don't take over.
So watch this trick real quick, okay? Okay, Brandy, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you a question, and I want you to tell me the two answer choices possible, okay? Do you want to drink? There's only two choices to that question.
Right, yes or no?
Yes or no? Okay. So watch how we phrase it in my office. Hey, Brandy, what can I get you a drink? Coke, Sprite, or water? What's the only answer choice you can give me?
Coke, Sprite, or water?
Yes. Okay. You come in our office? Yes. You want some cookies? Yes. You want some life insurance? Yes. You get people saying yes. Yes. Okay. I had some big women come in my office years ago. This was fun, and I said, hey, can I get y'all some cookies? I didn't follow my rules. They said, oh no, we just went to Burger King. But it's amazing when you set it down, people will take it, right? And so you want to be, and it's the same thing, because as you show up in people's homes, go do house calls, right? If someone says, hey, can I get you something to drink? And you say no, they take that as offensive.
Right.
So you always say yes, right? I did a mission trip to Honduras back in 2009. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea. It gags me as I'm drinking it. And so we're in Honduras, and we go to this house, and so we were laying floors, and at the same time we were preaching the gospel. And so this house had just a front and two sides. There was no back, and we're sitting there and they're boiling tea, and they go, "Do you want some tea?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I really want to say no, but it would be rude." And so I'm drinking tea. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Okay, so let me tell you one thing that really changed my life here. My third son, I mentioned I've got 4 boys. My third son was born in 2008. In 2008, we were, you know, as far as the whole success goes in life, I was the #1 State Farm agent in a company in 2006. I was the #1 State Farm agent in a company in 2005 and 2006. This is a funny story. Let me share it with you real quick, and I'll keep going. So, we went to Lafayette, where my family's from, for Christmas. My grandmother was still alive. It was Christmas 2005. It was the first year we were finished #1 in a company with State Farm selling our auto product. And so we're sitting there, and in my family, I'm real quiet. I'm shy. I don't talk a lot. My family is very loud, very vocal, right? I don't get a word in edgewise. So my mom's bragging on me, and she's telling my grandmother, she goes, "Boy, she's never gonna believe this." She goes, "Matt's gonna finish #1 in the company as a State Farm agent." And you know what she says? She goes, "Oh, shit, Walter used to do that all the time." my grandfather. Not, "Oh, I'm so proud of," "Oh, shit, that ain't no big deal." 2008, we finished #1 in the product line. 2008, we finished #12 overall, 18,000 State Farm agents. So from a success standpoint, I was on top of the world, right? I had everything that the earth world could offer to you. We were making a little bit of money. Business was growing. And then God sent me this kid, right? So we're sitting there, it's day 3 of life. I've got him on my chest. He's taking a nap on me. My mom's watching my other 2 boys. This real quiet nurse walks into the hospital room, and she goes, "I need your son." I said, "Oh, don't worry, he's already had that nasty tar diaper." Right? We're good. She goes, "No, sir, you don't understand. I need your son." I said, "No, look, this is my 3rd kid. I'm good. You don't understand." Right? So I shoo her out of the room. 2 minutes later, a much more aggressive nurse comes in, and she's got paperwork, and on the, sometimes when you print things, it cuts off, so she gives this to us. She goes, "We need your son right now. He's got a heart defect. He might need surgery," and they just rip him out of there. My wife immediately goes into shock. I'm sitting there going, "What is going on?" And we have very little information other than a handout that's cut off and we can't read. 30 minutes later, my son was being life-flighted to Texas Children downtown. It was the quietest ride my wife and I ever had. She had a C-section, so she's in the hospital. This is day 3, so she's still in pain. She jumps out of there, we're released immediately, and we're going down to the hospital. Now, this was when Grey's Anatomy was cool, right? And so we're there, and I swear we had the doctor from Grey's Anatomy. She was a super cool lady. And she just kept saying, "Room air, room air, room air," and so we're here in the NICU, and our son's a giant. He popped out at like 9 pounds, and we're seeing all these preemie kids, and so it was just a real stressful time in our world. But what it did for me is it kind of woke me up, right? And my entire life I kind of relied on myself. I relied on my skills, my personality, my ability to outwork others. But I never looked at a higher creature, right? Grew up Catholic, went to church twice a year, Christmas and Easter, but and we were going to church, but hadn't devoted my life just yet. And once I realized that I couldn't do anything for my son, I surrendered my life. So a real special time, and I share that with you because it changed the way I looked at my business, right? Before 2008, it was, how great can Matt be, right? After 2008, it was, what can I do to give back, right? What can I do to be a bigger part of the community that's blessed me so, right? And so it's 2009, I'm sitting there. I'm on another business trip somewhere. State Farm agents like to get together and kind of compare best practices, and so I've been lucky enough to to be a part of several of those groups, I got this phone call from a gentleman by the name of Dennis Kerwin. And he goes, hey Matt, this is Dennis, I'm calling you from the board of the YMCA. We want you to be a board member. And I'm like, who's this? Huh? Do I know you? He goes, no. I go, well, how'd you get my number? He goes, well, we've just seen you around. I was a member at the Y, so they pulled my information. They didn't know me, right? I said, oh, okay, well, when I get back in town, let's get together. So it gave me an opportunity to get involved. And that was my, and so if you haven't been involved with extracurricular, to me, that's been the absolute best thing I've ever done as a business owner, personally, and for our business, right? There's that whole back-end reward that you get on it. So when I was new at it, I served on the Y board for 6 years. As a new board member, I didn't get committed, right? I wasn't involved. I would go to the meetings, they were boring. We had one guy and he'd always talk about how favorable the finances look. Oh, the Y's making money. I'm like, oh, this is so boring, right? But I wouldn't do anything. I didn't join any subcommittees. I wasn't getting involved behind the scenes. But I would go to the meetings and I would have fun and I would tell a couple jokes. And so the leadership said, hey, this guy's great. And so they kept pulling me along. And once I decided, okay, let me see how I can turn this around, I fell in love. And if you don't know the YMCA, they are having their annual fundraiser right now. So I've got punch cards in the back of the room now. But a tremendous organization that gives so much. So I served there 6 years. 2 years I was the fundraising chair. 2 years I was the actual chair of the board, which was a treat because I was in my young 30s at that point. I'm running a group that, typically the boards are much older people. Dick Jack is on the board. He's 80-something. We work out together every morning at the YMCA. And so here, this punk kid, I had my ponytail back then, but I would show up in the meetings with cutoffs because I had just worked out, and I'm like, okay. But just a tremendous opportunity. I rolled off the board of the YMCA. I said I needed a little bit of a break. My office moved to Old Katy, which was right next door to the Christ Clinic. The ED at the Christ Clinic, Kara Hill at the time, continued to come to my office, and she said, Matt, be a board member. I said, no, Kara, boards are expensive. Matt, be a board member. I said, no, Kara, boards are expensive. She goes, Matt, can we use your office for a board meeting? I said, okay, you got a nice conference room, I can do that. She goes, I want you to be there too. I'm like, oh, I think I'm getting tricked. So sure enough, we opened up our office, and then I've been on the Christ board now for 2 years. And that's been such a treat. Christ Clinic is such a great nonprofit in our community that provides health care to those that don't have health insurance or those that don't have the finances to pay for health care. Y'all remember Stan Stanley?
Mm-hmm. Love Stan.
Stan Stanley was a phenomenal man. So when I moved my office, Stan did my signage for me. I'm trying to think if that's how I met Stan. But Stan was such an incredible mentor to me. If you went to his funeral, you heard the stories over and over. What can I do for you? Now we have a Stan Stanley Day, and he used to always tell me. He goes, Matt, I've lived my life in service, and he goes, we need future leaders, and he goes, you're that guy, right? And when you have somebody like Stan Stanley telling you, you need to give back. You need to, and so, when Stan passed away, that was a real sad moment. We were at the Chamber Gala with him and Patsy a couple nights before he got sick, but just such an incredible person that served his community. Stan Stanley, what does he do? He's a sign guy, but that's not the first thing that you would say about him. Stan Stanley had a heart bigger than the city, right? And look at the impact that it had on his business. He was successful in business because of what he did in the community, right? And so how can we duplicate that with what we do, right? The best part about being self-employed, the best part about doing what we do, right? Other than the tax code, because realtors and insurance agents get to deduct everything. Okay? Other than that, we don't work that hard. Okay? I know you're all like, that's not true, I work real hard. Okay. No, we don't have to be at work at 8 o'clock. We don't get to go home every day at 5 o'clock, right? We get to set our own schedule. If there's a board meeting 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, I can be there. If I have a board meeting at 4 in the afternoon, I can be there. Had a meeting today with the Christ Clinic in Kingsland Baptist Church. We're working out a deal where they're going to provide free rent in the community center. Right, that meeting today is at 10 o'clock. I get to do this. We have that opportunity. We have such a great where we have time to do this. All right, so kind of going through all this fun stuff, coming off the whiteboard. My wife and I have also started our own nonprofit called the Katy Summer Tailgate. So once a year in the summer, we host a big fun party at No Label Brewery. It used to be in the city of Katy with the one-way streets. It kind of messed that up a little bit. So the last 2 years it's been at No Label. But just a neat deal where we raise money and we ask people to bring school supplies when they show up at the event. Last year we wrote a check for some $15,000 to the YMCA, and again every dollar of that goes directly to help people in our community. And so we've used our position, we've leveraged our position to give back, right? And that's what you were. That's what Raquel wanted to hear, right? And so I probably spend about half of my time now serving on the two boards that I'm a part of. Stan Stanley was in my office. Janet Tice, who runs the real big at Katy ISD, runs the Education Foundation, the PI program. She came to my office and she goes, "Matt, we want you to be a part of this." I'd actually called her years ago. I said, "Hey Janet, this is Matt. I'd like to give some money away for students, scholarship money." And she goes, she said it very nicely. She goes, "Well, Matt, that's stupid. Why don't you give money to the Education Foundation?" And she pitched the foundation to me, and we kind of lost touch. So she found me. She came to the office. She goes, "Matt, would you be on this board?" And I said, "Oh no, Janet, boards are expensive." I said, "But maybe my wife, right? Because there's grants. It's teacher grants. Teachers are given money. It's an amazing thing that Katy does. It's such a cool program." I said, "Look, I can't read. I'm dyslexic." I said, "But my wife's like an editor. She'd find if you're missing a period or a comma or something spelled wrong." I said, "She'd be fantastic." She goes, "Well, no, we don't really want your wife. We want you to do it." So I told her no. And so I think it was a couple weeks later, Stan Stanley pops in my office and he goes, "Oh, hey, Matt, I need you to join this board." I said, "Oh, come on, Stan, don't do that to me." But he twisted my arm, and so now I serve there. And so I probably spend half my time giving back in the community. I spend the other half of my time training my team, right? Making sure that we know how to touch, that we know how to shake, that we know how to talk, that we know how to answer the phones, that we know how to look, that we know how to walk. Everything is just fine-tuned with what we do, right? Okay, what am I missing here? You ready for the secret formula?
Mm-hmm.
You've been waiting a long time for that.
It's been good.
Yeah. Some people say there's no secret formula. I don't believe that. I've followed this my entire career, and I think it's led us to the place that we are. So here we go. All right. Attitude. Attitude's the first part of that. Got a good friend of mine, State Farm agent in Gainesville, Texas. He's the mayor of Gainesville, Texas. He's also been on the speaking circuit for State Farm. And when he goes around, he shares my story. He talks about a young guy that started with State Farm and wasn't able to write home insurance. He talked about a young guy that started with State Farm and wasn't really able to write car insurance because we were so uncompetitive back then. And he talks about that young guy just not knowing any better. Right? And when agents in the Houston market in 2005 were complaining about I can't, we finished number one in the company, right? It's because we had an I can attitude, right? And we weren't going to let anybody take that from us. Attitude plus activity, right? There's been a very small handful of times in my career where I didn't know who I was going to talk to next, right? I've spent a lot of money marketing in the past. I want my phone ringing. I have always had, I'm a paper guy, I haven't quite figured out the computer yet. I've always had a stack of paper and I just work my paper down. This is who I'm calling next, this is who I'm calling next, right? There was one day, this was probably in 2003, I'm like, oh hell, I don't know who I'm gonna call next. I found him, right? I found him. Attitude plus activity minus excuses equals success. It's so easy for us to say, I can't do this right now. We just had a giant flood. I can't do this right now. The economy is not great. I can't do this right now. Fill in the blank, right? There is no excuse in my office, right? I just need to talk to more people, right? I will find a way, okay? There you go. I'm trying to think if I have a fun story to wrap this up with.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
We got some questions for you, because this was
Yeah.
awesome.
All right.
Awesome. Go for it, Raquel.
This, maybe mine is yours too. You have such an amazing team. How did you find that talent? Because you have been able to find some true key players,
Yeah.
like McKinley and her sister, who is your life insurance pros, and then your Jonathan, who is, I swear when he answers the phone, you don't know if it's you or him.
Right.
So how did you find that talent? Because they last with you forever.
Yeah. I spoil my people. This is funny. So I'm talking to my mama yesterday, and she really doesn't. My poor mom. You said she's in the closet, right? I was telling her. So she's having staff trouble. She's had staff trouble her whole life. One of her biggest problems is my knucklehead brother runs her office, and she overpays him because he's a moron and can't find his own job.
Not salty, right?
No, I'm kidding. No, my brother's good people. He's actually dating Kirsten in my office. They've been together for a couple of years. I'm trying to marry him. I'm a pastor on the side. That's my part-time job. My $19.99 ordained minister license. So I'm talking to my mom, and she's like, Matthew, we're having trouble with staff right now. We really need it. Can we have Jackie? She lives in Sugar Land. I said, Mom, no, you can't have Jackie. She goes, just give her two. I said, well, Mom, Jackie has a company car and a company cell phone and a 401k. I said, we just went on a Texas Beer Bus tour and we had a great time with everybody. That's a neat thing. If you ever want to do something for your team, that Texas Beer Bus tour is phenomenal. It's not a, oh, let's go get wasted, right? That's not it. But you get to see the different breweries in town. You have a little bit of a sample. It's real clean. It's not a, what she said, was it the Mardi Gras ball? But a real neat experience. And so I said, we just did that. I said, I took my team on a cruise in Christmas to do some planning for 2018. I said, in February, we've got a staff, a big event, rah-rah, to get the team excited about what they do. I said, Mom, you doing any of that? Matthew, why do you do so much? Well, that just doesn't make sense why you do so much, right? And so I do that much, and they give back that much, right? You got to spoil your team. If you've got a good team, now if you don't like them, you don't have to spoil them. Right? I've got people I haven't liked in the past, and I've made it real easy for them to disappear. I think we have.
Sounds scary.
Yeah.
Pastor, huh?
Yeah. But again, Jonathan's been with me 10 years, and in our old office, it was a little easier to do training because they could just listen to me, and I was constantly on the phone. And so Jonathan's just a parrot. Everything I would say, he would say. Same thing with McKinley. Same thing with Ashley. Everything I would say, they would say. And so we worked those scripts. One of the worst things in the world. Who likes to role play? Right? We role play. Right? We get in the office. We have meetings 3 days a week. We have Bible study on the 4th day. But we get in there and we role play. Nobody likes to role play, but we do it. Right? So I've always kind of presented it this way to my team. We're actors, okay? If you go to a play, okay, you never know what's going on backstage, right? When they're changing, when they're a mess, when they miss a line, as soon as they come front stage, they are on. In my office, as soon as a customer walks in, we are on. Hey, welcome to Jimmy Johnson. Right? I mean, we are acting and we are going above and beyond to impress. Now, as soon as they leave, I might walk around the office and hoot and holler and be silly, but when a customer's there, we're front stage and we're killing it. And I like to steal talent. I can't take all the credit. If I went through, I stole Jonathan from Farmers. McKinley and Ashley and I just went to high school together. I got lucky, and we kind of learned together. Tiffany, who's phenomenal, I stole from a State Farm agent. Anthony, I got from Allstate. Sony, I got from Allstate. I mean, if I go down my list, I steal talent. You know, in our world, it's I don't want to have to retrain someone who's been taught bad habits by. No, you can break that easy. You get them into the right culture, and you talk about that culture and your mission and your vision, and boom. Yeah.
Okay, so Matt, a lot of people, I've had several conversations this week with folks that seem to think that they can do it all themselves and no one can do it as good as them, so they're afraid to make that first hire.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about when you made that first hire and how you overcame that, because as entrepreneurs, it's really easy to think we got it all down.
Not yet.
Not yet, no. So I have fired my wife on a couple of occasions.
Uh-huh.
One of the best things that ever happened to me is with Heather. I started in 2002. Heather didn't start with me until 2005. And I remember we did, the Catholic Church has a great deal, a premarital deal, where we had to go away on a, I don't know, sabbatical or whatever it was, retreat. And it was phenomenal. We spent a lot of time in prayer, and we did that in 2001. I started in 2002, and so we were kind of talking, hey, I want you to quit doing what you're doing, come work for me, let's do this together. And if she was there, I would have leaned on her, and I wouldn't have been able to prove to myself that I could do this on my own. And so it was a gift that she said no, and so I was able to prove to myself. I was a terrible manager early on in my career. And I'll tell you what got me. Now, as a State Farm agent, we need people, right? We're too busy to do it by ourselves just when the phones are ringing. But it wasn't until I hired my first bilingual employee and I couldn't micromanage anymore. I couldn't understand the language. I couldn't speak to him. And that was such a gift, because at that point it was, okay, I got to figure out how to delegate. And then you train your team to be just as good as you are. You talk about Matt Katsarelis, right? Matt and I serve on the foundation together. He's a great guy. I called Katie Magazine, or I actually called Matt and said, hey Matt, look, come give me prices. He's like, hey look, Schomburg, I'm real busy, but I'm gonna give you so-and-so. She's awesome. So, I'm feeling, how do you set the stage? Right? So for me, I'm constantly popping emails. Hey, I'm gonna ask Tiffany to call you. She's my superstar. She's my right hand. And so I am constantly building up my team. Mm-hmm. So if you're dealing with my office, you feel real comfortable that I didn't just slop you off to somebody else, right? But yeah, I mean, it's easy to get to, and I don't know how your business works. How easy it is to hire somebody, right?
Very similar.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, to me, having a big team just allows me to play. I like to play now. Mm-hmm. I was in Colorado last week, and
nice.
I don't miss anything with my boys. I've coached my boys in football and basketball and baseball. So I want to be that dad. I didn't have a dad like that. My dad was a Monday through Thursday traveling. He'd jump on airplane Monday morning. I wouldn't see him until Thursday, too late, so really until Friday. My mom started her State Farm agency when I was 9. So we were raised by Emily, who was a phenomenal lady, but I mean, me and my brother were drinking 40s, and she would just say, oh, you shouldn't do that. So that was our, supervision. My brother and I are getting drunk at 2 in the afternoon and running through fences together and just
having a good time.
Having a good time, yeah, because mom's at work, so it's... Oh, look, I forgot. Sorry. I should talk to my audience here.
That's so good.
She's learning how to talk.
So you had talked about this real aha moment. I really appreciate you sharing. I brought me to tears. I know we were all like misty. But it was really, I love that emphasis. And we really focus with our agents on the same way of giving back. We're actually platinum sponsors of the KDISD Education Foundation.
Awesome.
And it's a wonderful organization. And so if you were talking to your team about where to start, how would you recommend somebody get started in really building that half of your time towards giving to the community?
Right. It's funny. I'm going to have that conversation with my team. Next week, so State Farm just sent out an email And our new slogan, shame on me, for years and years, it's been like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Well, now we're the neighborhood of good. Okay, so when you see our commercials, you'll see that tagline, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, is gone. And so you'll see a neighborhood of good. And so right now, if you're watching commercials, what you'll see, there's a phenomenal State Farm commercial about the bell ringers are gone, the give commercials are no longer on TV, the need is still there, right? So State Farm is running the spot on that right now. And so they talk about our company agents only, right? And so as the State Farm agent, I submit my hours that I do for board work, and then State Farm writes a generous check to some of the the groups that I'm involved with. And so I started thinking after I read that, I said, I spend all this time doing that. Why is McKinley not doing that? Why is Jonathan not serving on a board somewhere, right? And I think, I think the secret is, what are you passionate about? For me, I didn't know that I was going to be 100% sold out for the YMCA. I mean, I grew up in Y sports. I've always been fond of the YMCA. But once I realized it was so much more than a swimming gym and what they do for our community, right? You cannot have a successful community without a successful YMCA, right? And I'll tell that story better than anybody else. And so I'm extremely passionate about the why. I'm not real passionate about healthcare, right? I've had fun on that board, but I feel like a moron. I got in trouble. I had my 1 year review with my ED. She goes, Matt, look, I hate to have to tell you this, but people don't think you're serious enough. I said, you fools are too damn serious. I'm an otter. I'm just here to have fun. Life shouldn't be this stressful. Right? And so I go to these meetings and I'm like, ooh, I want to tell a joke. And I can't because I got in trouble. I got put in time out. So I don't know. I love what they're doing. They're going to expand, and it's such a phenomenal group, great leadership. But that's not where my talents are best served, right? So when you think about it, to me, the motto I live by is time, treasures, talents, right? Where do I want to put my time? Where do I want to put my treasures? And where do I want to put my talent? The Education Foundation on the opposite end is, Janet looks to me, again, I think I'm 40 and I think I'm still the youngest person on the board. And she goes, Matt, what can we do? I said, Janet, we gotta make it more fun. And she's like, let's do that. I'm the fun director of the foundation. And so again, just kind of bringing that joy. But I think it starts with, what are you passionate about, right? Because, if you're giving time to Rotary or you're giving time to Chamber and there's no connection and you don't feel that, that lift from giving back, that you don't need to be doing, right? So you got to plug in. And I think it's like you said, who you know, and you just start talking to them. Hey, have you heard? Because there's so many phenomenal nonprofits in Katy, and what's really cool right now, kind of being behind that curtain. So that with the Y, we got to do a lot of work with different churches. So we would meet at the fellowship. The fellowship has birthed a lot of these nonprofits, right? Compassion Katy, Katy Cares. These people are desperate for board members, right? There's one with a teddy bear. I wouldn't be passionate about that. Sick kids in hospital, we give them a teddy bear. Okay, cool. I think there's a purpose and it needs to be done. Are you passionate about that? Right? You have a friend that we insure who does something similar to that. She's awesome. Prayers heard in heaven, right? But how do you find that? And then how do you meet somebody that can open the door? And I promise you, if you just ask, they'll let you in, right? Every board needs a realtor, right? Every board only needs one great insurance agent. I remember on the Y board, they brought in a nationwide guy, and I'm like, I'm the board chair. We're not bringing in a nationwide.
No, I'm sorry,
I'm like, come on, Matt. This is silly. So, but I think that's where it starts. And I'm going to have that conversation with my team, and we're going to brainstorm a little bit about it. And I'll let you know how it goes. But
I love that.
yeah, we have the time now, and because we're a big group, it's kind of sharing with somebody. Obviously, Hurricane Harvey didn't hurt us. It was awesome. I mean, we had an opportunity to reconnect with customers. It was a very trying time. We've done such a good job with our customers, doing things right the first time, being efficient with what we do, being proactive, similar to my claims days versus being defensive. We've been able to drive. We have 4,500 customers insured, households. we've been able to drive our call volume down to under 100 calls a day. During Hurricane Harvey, post-Harvey, we were triple call volume for a while. And so my team would come to work and I'm like, come on, hold on, we got this. Let's just keep loving, we got this. But because of how efficient we've gotten, we don't have to be all hands on deck every day. And so I can say, hey, look, you got a little kid at elementary, go read to him. You know, make your presence known there. And so I want to do that more and more for my group.
So talk a little bit to us about the systems part of it, because that's what I'm hearing, is you have good systems.
Yeah.
How important is that to your business?
It's everything, right? And some of it's just, dumb luck, trial and error. You run into it. Some of it's just coaching conversations, right? For me, the big piece is I'm always preaching big picture, right? So just a quick example. We had a lady that I probably need to work on today, but today or tomorrow. She had 3 cars insured with us. She's got a kid who's, 17, 18. He's not a great driver. He's had an accident. And they're saying, oh, we're gonna go ahead and cancel his car. And I'm like, okay, well, when you go from 3 cars to 2 cars, I'm gonna charge you more money. Huh? I'm going from 3 to 2 and you're gonna charge me more money? And so my team's just gonna process that. And I'm like, no, slow down. Let's figure out how to do this the right way to help the customer and just to look at the big picture. And so I'm not afraid just to be nice, but I'll jump on my team when I see something like that. Hey, why didn't you do it this way? Right? Nice. Right? And it's fun. I'll blow you up, email, in person, and then at the end of let's just say it's an email, at the end of every email, I say, hey, Leslie, you really are doing a great job, right? So here's the correction, here was the issue, here's the correction, and then I'm gonna build you up, right? I'm gonna tear you down and build you up, right? And so I think that's a big part of the system, but I mean, we have system manuals on what we say when we answer the phone, right? What we say when somebody walks in, it's uniform, everything's the same. Everything does the same thing.
System, do you guys have a CRM for that?
We're eventually going to Salesforce,
Oh.
so we're all excited. It's rolled out. We're not quite using it yet. So State Farm got some old funky software that we use. It's amazing. We're successful.
So we've asked every speaker that's come in, and we're going to ask you today. So I hope that you'll honor us with this last question.
Yeah.
You've hit really an amazing number one. You're giving back half of your time. Where is your ceiling now, and how are you going to break through? What's next for you?
Oh man. I don't know. So so in 2009, I graduated from A&M in '99. 10 years later, I went back to school. I didn't know a whole lot about the Bible, and I didn't think I could teach myself, so I went back and got a 2nd degree in Christian leadership from the College of Biblical Studies.
That's where my husband went.
Is that right? Incredible school, and I absolutely loved it. And it was probably some of the most special time. I'm sure your husband will tell you. I mean, you're so connected to your peers. You're in prayer.
He's already asked to go back.
You're in the Word. And so I did that 2 years. We had our 4th kid at the end of that, and that 4th kid just destroyed us. He's such a turd. So it stole some of my time. But I was talking to Coy, a friend of mine from school, just yesterday, and he's like, hey, make sure you keep Jesus first. What are your plans? Where are you going? And we obviously we go to church. I lead my son's life group. Kind of the kids come together, and so I'm teaching a group of 7th graders, and they're so bad I cuss at them. God, give me patience not to cuss this week. Every once in a while, I'll pinch hit for my 8th graders group. But I talked to Coy. My passion in life on the church side is what's known as apologetics. And so apologetics is the defense of our faith. So 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, 16, always be prepared to give the reason for the faith that you have in gentleness and respect. Well, I'm a salesperson, right? I'm an insurance salesperson, okay? Y'all are sales folks, okay? I have the greatest product, and it's 100% free.
Right.
Right. I don't have to sell Jesus, right? But as a salesperson, I want to be able to defend when people come back. And so I'm looking, HBU has a phenomenal program in apologetics, a master's degree in apologetics. So I would like to venture into that. My agency has plateaued. And so the greedy flesh part of me wants to open a second location and pop one of my twins over there to run it and
Oh my God.
start growing that part.
You're about to hurt Heather. Have to take her mom for lunch for that.
I almost really like where I am. I want to continue to educate myself. I think that's important, and we never stop learning. We never stop reading. I have a book club at my office, so I'm constantly educating.
Well, if your mom retired, that'd help.
That would help. Yeah. I told her yesterday. I said, "Look, Mom. I said if you retire, I said I think I can pick up $250,000 in revenue. I said I know you're paying Chad way too much money. I said I'll match that. I'll give Chad that money. I said, look, and then you'll be paying both your kids $100,000. Right? So, stop it, Matthew." So she was complaining. She goes, "Chad hates being the boss. He's got these 3 women, and they're just beating him up." And he was in a low spot, so I attacked. No, but I do see myself continuing to stay involved with the community. And so when when you do what we do, I think we're all just natural leaders. And so for me, it was similar to my time at the YMCA. Leadership's going to rise to the top. And so I'm obviously not going to run the Christ Clinic because that's they talk about FQHCs, and I don't even know what half the initials mean when they're doing what they do. But I wouldn't be surprised if I run the foundation for a little bit. I've been asked to serve on the board of KCM. To me, board work is awesome. You really get to see what's going on. I'm doing Leadership Katie right now. I helped Katie ISD with their strategic design, and that was a blast. I met tremendous people. Rebecca Fox was like, "Hey Matt, I want you to run for school board." I'm like, "You crazy?" I'm not doing that. My friends have always said I was going to be the mayor of Katy. The only problem is you got to live in the city limits of Katy to be the mayor of Katy. So we're moving to Fulshire, so maybe I can be the mayor of Fulshire.
They could use it.
They need some help.
Yeah. But I enjoy being able to help organizations create efficiencies that we've created. And I think that you can do that at the church level, you can do that at the board level, you can do that in the political world. And so for me, I'm just going to kind of keep plugging along. The hardest thing is just, my wife's nicer to me more days in the month than she's not. So yeah, I don't know, that'd be fun. I'll keep thinking about that.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions? How cool was this?
Awesome.
Thank you so much. All right, so we just want to say a huge thank you. Did you get some good nuggets from this today? I mean, I'm taking copious notes back here. And one of the things that we see is when we see people giving back at a high level and training us at a high level, what does that tell us? That they're worth our business, right? So James that came today, when you have the opportunity to show Cross Creek, go show one of James' houses. You have the opportunity to work with your clients and talk about insurance, give Matt's team the opportunity to earn your client's business.
Jonathan will say, don't send it to Matt, send it to him.
Well, Jonathan needs to come on down here then.
No, and I still am very plugged in.
So we just want to say thank you. That was some great words of wisdom that you shared with us today. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.